All right, welcome to this week's edition of Degenerate Sports Talk. As always, I'm your host, Paul Robinson, and as always, I'm joined by my three cohorts from across the pond. Mr. Ken, down there in the bottom below me. Mr. Jason, down there in the bottom right, looking like a Mr. Potato Head that's been swallowed and spat out a couple of times. And everybody's favourite redneck, Mr. John Gaskins. All right, it's day 5. CBA negotiations have been ongoing all week, and they've had back to meetings, and they're still currently going on. But the news isn't good, as Gaskins is always telling me to keep my blood pressure on, on standby. So this week we've got our little blood pressure monitor in the center of the screen and everything. If it starts doing anything, if it starts doing anything stupid, we can keep an eye on it. But yeah. The players and the association and the MLB have obviously been meeting all week, and there's been movement on some bits and pieces, including the universal DH, which they obviously agreed to last week. The players are still holding out for the top 7 picks in the first year player draft to be put in the lottery. Now, the league themselves want just the top 4, and they also want softer penalties for small market teams, i.e., the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Detroit Tigers, and the Baltimore Orioles, the teams that have been tanking for the past few years, and they want smaller penalties, which the players have apparently come down to an agreement sort of with. And is anybody else fed up with this crap, or am I on my own here? I mean, they walked out of the meeting after 15 minutes last week. This is the owners, and Manfred's only just shown up today to do any kind of negotiating. I mean, he's had he's had his higher ups doing the talking for him in these meetings. But has anybody just lost patience with all this now? I mean, it's getting a bit stupid. I mean, if there's not, from what I understand from the reports that we've had in the last couple of days, that if agreement isn't reached by Monday, the start of the season isn't going to happen on time on the 31st of March, which is supposed to be the first, it was supposed to be opening day. And, they're already talking, they've already announced in the last half an hour or so, just before we came on to record, that there are going to be further spring training games being cancelled next week, I believe. So, am I the only one here that's absolutely annoyed to piss at this point? Anybody? Raise a hand. Anything at this point.
Well, the only reason you're annoyed is because you haven't been listening to me for the last month, and you keep calling these things meetings. My dumps last longer than these meetings, so they're not meetings. I told you, until it starts freaking hitting them in the wallet, they ain't gonna do anything. It's still all posturing. You won't see a spring training. You'll see opening day get pushed back, and then come. My guess would be early April, they'll start really sitting down for meetings.
Yeah, let's say. I mean,
get something done.
I mean, I was
June 1st, opening day.
You're still going June 1st with opening day. That's fair enough. But I mean, I was looking on the ESPN earlier on, obviously keeping track of everything that's going on with the CBA talks, and Jeff Passan was on there, and he said, the meeting yesterday. Thursday ended early because and this is a direct quote from one of the Players Association guys. Apparently, the league had run out of ideas of things to talk about. I mean, we're talking.
Think stupid.
I know. I mean, seriously, we're talking about the people that are supposed to be running Major League Baseball. They're running out of ideas on how to get a CBA across the finishing line. I mean, John's right. You can't fix stupid, Ken. I mean, what are your thoughts here, mate? Because you got to be as annoyed with me as I am with this at this point, surely.
I guess I'm running out of things to say. I don't know. It's terrible. It's terrible. That's like. And it's a stressed relationship type terrible. Like, I don't have anything else to say to you. Go away. I don't know.
Take my marbles and go home.
It's terrible.
Yeah, to be honest with you, at this particular point, I feel like I mean, the one thing that really annoyed me yesterday was I read a report that from sources say that Manfred had said that they wouldn't end the lockout because the owners feared a players' strike. Now, yeah, see, you shake your head at this, but these are the words that have come out of this guy's mouth. In no way, shape, or form are the players suicidal when it comes to this. There's no way in hell that if they were to end the lockout tomorrow while still continuing to discuss the CBA and get everything going, I know it's a power move, right? But there's no way in hell the Players Association would vote to strike. It would be PR suicide, and they any goodwill and backing they've got from fans, which they've got plenty of, would be flushed down the toilet very, very rapidly. I mean, yes, I know it's a power move, but still, comments like that from the likes of the commissioner of baseball is kind of like, you really want to take him, plunge him into a cannon, aim him at the sun, and fire with as much TNT behind his ass as possible. Jason, you laugh, but I mean, seriously, you haven't seen a player strike in football or hockey in years like this. I mean, you haven't seen a lockout from an owners in any of the sports that you follow. What's your take as an outsider?
It hurts because I've been trying to get into baseball really strongly for the fantasy aspects, at least. To go to a couple games, and to me, I'm like, I feel like the owners are winning, that the players are caving up more and more and more, and really the only thing I think they may gain is some of the pay increase and some of the minimum pay wage. But it sounds like caving on arbitration hours, sounds like a caving, manipulation of minor league, major league roll-ups. So, I think it's going to be late. I think it's definitely going to delay spring training unless the players completely cave.
With the amount of goodwill from fans, I don't see the players caving on the core issues here, especially when it comes to the basic wage hike that they're looking for. At minimum, you're looking at a salary floor. You're looking at the 246 million luxury tax threshold that they've been pushing for, not to act as a cap, but to act as a kind of an aim. The floor is a must. I mean, you can't have teams like the Pirates, like the Tigers, like the Orioles. Just you can't have teams competitively tanking for the number one pick anymore. Yeah, what he said, bless you. But if they don't get those core bits and pieces in there, it's another decade plus before we get anything done, and then it will lead to a player strike. But if I'm honest, it's kind of like I'm so frustrated as a fan, because now I should be getting into gears watching. Pitchers and catchers were supposed to be here last week. Games are supposed to be started this weekend. It's kind of like, I want my baseball, damn it. You all of you, pox on both houses for various different reasons, more so on the owners than the players at this point for me. But it's kind of like, give me my freaking baseball already, with no more football, no more college football. NHL has done nothing for me as a casual fan to warrant me even being interested. In the same way that the NBA, it's kind of like, meh, I've got no interest anymore. It's kind of like the NBA is very bland. College basketball doesn't really start until next month with March Madness. This is the time for baseball to start thinking, here we go. We have a monopoly share of of airwaves and time, and get the product out there, and they're floundering like they did in 2020. Everybody during the early months of the pandemic, Americans over here in the UK we were clamoring for sporting events in whatever way, shape, or form we could get. And they missed the opportunity. Baseball missed an opportunity then, and the NBA beat them to it by going into the bubble down in Disney, in Florida of all places, and doing something that was really smart, getting everybody into a spot and going, yeah, let's just do it. Baseball missed, and what I can only describe as an ample opportunity to put the sport front and center, and say, this is the American pastime. This is what we do. This is how we enjoy the game, and they failed, and I feel like that's happening again. There's nothing going on right now with the NBA. The NHL's a joke. Sorry, Ken, it really is. The college basketball season doesn't really start until next month, and there's no football, which, quite frankly, has been overtaking the ratings for years anyway, going on. MLB is missing a trick here. Am I wrong, John?
I mean, you're not wrong, but again, it's rich people problems. That's why we don't understand it. They're talking about millions and billions of dollars, but they'll get it hammered out. But I told you, it's all about money until it starts hurting them in the wallets. It's just not going to change.
Yeah.
I mean, we can want it, but it's not going to happen.
Fair enough, Ken.
Agreed.
Nothing, just agree with. You're going to agree with the redneck. Yeah. Jace, are you going to just agree with the redneck on this one as well?
Sadly, yes, I am.
Good God. All right. Well, speaking of college hoops, we'd be remiss if we didn't have a little fun with our resident Michigan fan down there in the corner, Coach Juwan Howard. Jason, you've got to explain this to the rest of us because...
Yeah, please.
Please. I mean, seriously. We know he's got a temper. We understand he's a bit of a loose cannon, shall we say. What in the blue hell was he thinking? He gets himself banned for the rest of the regular season. They're still umming and ahhing about what to do with him if Michigan make it to the March Madness tournament itself. I mean, Jace, take us through it, mate. What went wrong first of all?
Well, I'm gonna say just lead us off. You can't make any excuses. Like, it happened. You can't have that happen. Can't have the coach do that. All right. I will explain some of the circumstances, but I'm gonna straight up make sure you know it's not excusable.
No.
Okay.
Your predetermined, non-committal advice there is well noted. Please explain. Tell us what happened.
Unfortunately, Michigan got housed by Wisconsin in the basketball game. About 45, 50 seconds left in the game. Wisconsin's up 20-something. They call timeout, put in their scrubs, right? Backup players, so they can all get assignments at home, all that. Michigan presses them. They get turnover score. 15 seconds left in the game. Wisconsin's down by 15 points. They take another timeout. And get the ball across. Game ends. They win by like 15. Unfortunately, on that, when they're doing the handshake line, which they do, Howard was a little bit late getting into it. Goes up and pulls on his mask. It's like, I'll remember that. And we did that. The other coach put his hand on him to stop him because, like, wait, no, let's talk about this. And he didn't like that. That's when he grabbed him there. He put his finger to him. Then they kind of were getting separated. One of the assistant coaches came in. Some other stuff said. Howard's been moved away, but he comes back, and they called it what? A Muppet. It's not really, but like a mush.
What we English call a bitch slap attempt. Yes, we know it well.
Okay. So unfortunately that happened. Two of the other Michigan players threw punches. One of the Wisconsin players came in and threw punches.
We have who is it now? Musa Diabate, Terrence Williams of UofM, and Jacoby Neath of Wisconsin, all suspended for a single game, which I think was a bit light considering the RG. Bearing in mind, I've seen the videos since it all went down, and obviously you guys have been sending me stuff as well, and I was kind of like, for that kind of I mean, I believe was it Jacoby Neath. This isn't his first issues on the court as well with. Am I getting this right, or is this was it Diabate? That's what I know. One of them has had issues in the recent past with fighting on the court as well. Jace.
Nothing's really gone to this level from the players. Mute, he's a freshman. Williams is the second year. He's from like DC. So that was kind of surprising, but the one guy came over to, and then also one of the assistant coaches tackled one of the Michigan players. I was surprised there's no fine or anything on that.
There were some missed opportunities on both sides, to be fair.
And then after they separated, some of the Michigan guys were going back to the area. One of the Wisconsin players was rallying the fans to like sing and taunt and all that. And then on top of it, like their coach came back and was saying something that somehow led to one of the Michigan players getting upset and having to be held back from going after their coach.
So chaos on the court, I think we'll call it from now on. But chaos on the court. Anytime UofM are playing basketball, it's chaos on the court. So, Ken, did you see any of this? Obviously, you've seen the reports, but did you see any of the video footage that's come out of this game, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some. Yeah, I mean, I've seen some. On Bleacher Report and whatnot. It's a shame. It's a shame. It's one of your favorite. One of your favorite lines. It's a black guy in the sport. It's a black guy from Michigan for sure.
And they're reeling from. They're reeling from one kind of PR disaster to another recently as well, Michigan. And I don't want to jump on the bandwagon here, Jason, because we all know that Harbaugh went to the Vikings waving farewell to that interview that did not go well, and then all of a sudden he's come back with that whole. Very weird contract that's kind of like, yeah, we'll keep you, but we ain't going to fight to keep you, if that makes sense. We'll get to that in a minute. But it's kind of like, I got to be, there's just something not right for me with the athletic directorship over there in the other side of Michigan for me. Just there's something not quite firing right. And Jason, you have to agree with this. I mean, I know you're obviously a U of M grad. I mean, the situation here with Juwan Howard is obviously it's just not right. It shouldn't be allowed. What's your thoughts if they make it to the Big Ten tournament? I mean, should he be allowed to coach the tournament this season if they somehow make it? If you personally as a grad, I mean, your opinion here is what I'm looking for.
Okay, so Big Ten, the Big Ten can suspend them 2 games. So Michigan actually added on the 3 games to make it the full 5 for the regular season. So they're letting him come back for a Big Ten tourney, which I would have probably not had. I would have had,
the assistant coach Phil. Yeah, I know what you mean.
If they made the NCAA tourney and they made or NIT, then sure he could go and do that. But I think my concerns, what happens when they meet if they meet Wisconsin in the Big Ten tourney.
It will be done worth watching if it does happen. Yeah. I think mathematically it's been worked out that I think it's possibly the final if both teams were to make it to the final, which I don't see happening anyway. I mean, much like MSU this year, Michigan hoops has been god awful. I have watched both teams for the last couple of months, and it's just been like, but. Redneck in the corner there. I mean, you've been very, very quiet.
I just want to know what it is about Michigan basketball and violence. You had the Pistons with the malice at the palace, and now you got that. What is it with you folks in basketball? Y'all take that crap seriously, don't you?
It's just.
Hey, but think about it. I mean, Juwan Howard had a right to be upset. I mean, timeouts probably get up to his pants a little bit, but that ain't the timeout he need to be worried about. It's one back in '93 that Chris Webber called. That's the timeout he needs to be worried about.
I was wondering if you were going to bring that one up, but there you go.
Absolutely. He's a moron. It wasn't a timeout, so he got his ass whooped by 20 points. That's what he was mad about.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the other point. Yes, they were getting shelled, but to let that kind of...
That's what he was mad about.
Yeah, and whilst I can understand the frustration, you don't let that frustration leak out onto the court, and you definitely don't get your players riled up to the point where punches are thrown, or in this particular regard, a bitch slap is thrown, because that's all that was.
Absolutely. He shouldn't coach again this season, tournament or not. He shouldn't coach again.
I'm in agreement with the pair of you on this one. I don't think if Michigan are lucky enough to get to the tournament, I don't think he should be allowed to coach. Ken, what do you think? I mean, I'm assuming you were pretty much the same.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, it's just there's a lot of profession you expect from especially a coach, but especially in a coach in that spotlight, to be in that figure, you got to show restraint.
All right. Well, we're going to go from one Michigan head coach to the other Michigan head coach, returning to the Wolverines, Mr. Jim Harbaugh. Obviously, we didn't cover this last week because of other things that were going on, and obviously trying to figure out the old blood pressure meter for the Brit, as Gaskins likes to, shout out every now and again. But his contract, it doesn't scream they want to keep him long term. Jason, what are your thoughts?
I think they do. I think they gave him a raise. They adjusted it up from what they had previously. So the previous contract that he had basically gave them.
The one that was
like,
slashed
easy.
in half after 6 years of futility.
After not winning the Big Ten championship, yes, I would say years of futility because their record was still pretty
Lost to Mel
decent.
Tucker, didn't beat Ohio State, nowhere close to a Big Ten title for 6 straight years, which is the entirety of what he was brought in for in the first place. Also supposed to be, Bo's boy. These are all things that I hear from Michigan fans. This isn't my inner Sparty coming out to play. This is just genuine rigmarole of spiel that I get from a lot of Michigan fans that I know on social media, and obviously what I read in various Detroit and Metro Detroit area papers and whatever else I can find online. This is whilst yes, you're right, it's an increase in what he got from Slash. It's not the term Mel Tucker money is what's being thrown around. I personally wouldn't class it. What I would class it as is money to instill a culture in a franchise like you would do in the NFL. Mel Tucker is one of the top 3 highest paid coaches in college ball right now, I think, behind Saban and the dude that just left.
Jimbo.
Thank you. Yeah. And it's kind of like Harbaugh didn't. I mean, with incentives, I think he can get to Mel Tucker money from what I've read, but his base is about 7, and if he gets a Big Ten title, I think it's 7-6. Jason.
That's a little higher now for the Big Ten title and for the playoffs. But yeah, you're right on the base. Don't take this wrong. I think Mel Tucker got overpaid.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt, but the fact of the matter is, the terminology is Mel Tucker money because it is $95 million over 10 years. It's a long-term investment to win a winning franchise football team. This is my inner spotty bit coming out at this point. But what bothers me about the Harbaugh contract, because I love the fact that he's come back. I love the fact that he tanked in Viking country, because quite honestly, it means that we've got an easy game next year. I'm very much looking forward to the UofM game personally, but it's the buyouts that I think should worry Michigan fans because they're not expensive. So if the NFL were to come knocking, which, unless he goes and does something spectacular like win a natty next year, which is, not exactly an easy thing to do, that buyout it doesn't scream that Michigan want to keep him long term for me.
To me, that's so Harbaugh's gonna stay. I feel where you like him, don't like him, he's gonna stay. I feel he went did the interview. Whatever happened in the interview room didn't go well. Didn't get where it's him, them. I hear a bunch of stuff, but to me, he's going to be around. They're probably going to work on some sort of succession plan for when he's not around. But I feel like, we lost our offensive coordinator, Gaddis. He went to Miami because he came back and I felt like he thought he should have inherited Harbaugh's
Well, to be
job.
honest, by all accounts, Harbaugh was basically waving goodbye on his way to the NFL job in Viking country in Minnesota, and it was like, and your man was right there to take over the reins and step in and go, okay, he's gone, let's do something new. And all of a sudden, you've lost. Your OC, I believe your DC's gone as well.
Back to Baltimore Ravens. He's going to run.
So not only do you have a head coach that's coming back that quite possibly your athletic department didn't want, but you've also lost a DC and an OC, and it's kind of like you've got more coaching issues to deal with than you had 3-4 months. And what I've got to ask you this, Jason, because obviously, you were ecstatic, like many Michigan fans, about enjoying the Big Ten title, enjoying going to the Natty playoffs. This whole saga with Harbaugh at this point, has it dampened your not so much expectations, has it dampened your enjoyment of the off season from a college football standpoint because of all the stupidity that's going on with JH?
I will say yes. My recruitment cycle did not go as well as I was hoping. Him on being out. Normally we do a big hoopla for National Signing Day, but him being out in Minnesota for that, obviously it was very quiet and under the radar. So yeah. But I think Harbaugh's bringing back a lot of former Michigan players. Some they thought was Mike Hart, all that. So I think he's slowly bringing in the right people. He did so kind of this last year.
All right.
Don't see the pickup that I thought we'd get, because we were going to lose a lot on our defense next year than when it's going in the draft.
Fair enough. Ken Gaskins, either of you got any comments on this whole saga with Harbaugh? I mean, I know that Ken's kind of in the area and knows a bit about Michigan, but either one of you got anything to say, anything you want to talk about?
He's gonna end up wearing out his welcome. I mean, I'm kind of done seeing him there. He's starting to look little like Skeletor up there.
I mean, as a Sparty fan, I love the fact that he's come back. I love the fact that it's what should have been quite frankly a bragging off season with Michigan trolling literally everybody with that Big Ten title win. Because of the stupidity and the saga that's been going on, is he going? Is he staying? Is he going to go in an interview in the NFL? Is he going to the Raiders? Is he going to the Vikings? Is he going somewhere? And then he goes to an interview on National Signing Day, and it's just like, is he really going to do this? I mean, for reals? It's kind of like, like I say, as a Sparty fan, I'm happy that he's going to be back because, quite honestly, Mel Tucker's got his number. I don't care. I said it. I put it out there in the universe.
Dude.
Listen, I told you before, Jason, that whatever kind of whiskey you drink in, my friend, the bottle bet's on there. I'm happy to do it. And if I'm wrong, I will send you the funds to buy the bottle. But Mel Tucker's got Harbaugh's number. I guarantee you that they are smoking cigars and doing little Ric Flair struts in the MSU building, knowing that Harbaugh's back for another year at least, because that's a nice, easy win for little brother. Gaskins?
Harbaugh's a peacock with his feathers splayed. He was just, hey, look, the NFL wants me, pay me more. I'm like with Ken. One of those sides is going to get tired of it before too long. But that's all he's wanted. He was never leaving.
Yeah, no, well,
Michigan knew he wasn't leaving. He knew he wasn't leaving. Well, that's why the interview went bad. He just wanted more money at Michigan.
But the thing is, what do you think he was? Do you think he was looking for more money than Mel Tucker? That's the question.
Nah, ain't nobody that stupid to give him that much money.
Yeah,
not him.
Not him. No, absolutely. All right. Okay. Right, we'll move on from Harbough watch because I much like everybody else, I'm a little bit bored with the saga at this point. Let Jason have his little Big Ten title for the year because they earned it and that's fair enough. But Jason, I have a question. Did you do your homework this week?
Baseball players.
Ken, did you do your homework this week? Gaskins already knows, got it pretty much in his brain because he's a freaking cyborg. But we challenged ourselves this week to do just one player from each team, prospect-wise, from the AL East. That's the Orioles, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Tampa Bay Rays, and obviously the Blue Jays. Now, I'm going to we'll go through the order, we'll go alphabetically through the order, and then, we'll go each one at a time, just a couple of seconds on why we're looking forward to seeing this particular player coming up. Gaskins, seeing as you are our resident redneck and also, fantasy baseball guru, I'll let you start off with the Orioles. Who's your prospect to keep an eye on that you like?
Actually, mine's an older one. It has been Zach Lowther. He was drafted back in 2019, left-hander. He's got two above average pitches, but only average command. He does have a third pitch, but again, it's an average. I see him more as a bullpen guy than as a starter at this point when he's 25 years old. But again, he's ranked number 22nd in their top 30.
Okay.
So I think he helps out the team, out of the bullpen this year.
Fair enough. Jason, who have you got from the Orioles this week?
So four of the five players I picked are on my fantasy baseball team.
So he's going as a homer. I like it.
Kobe Mayo. 20-year-old, 6'5". He had like a 1.026 on base percentage, 9 homers, 11 for 11 on stolen bases. The other thing I really like is how much he has jumped. Fangraphs just put out their top 100, and he is number 67 on that
list. Something in the region of about 100 and 120 spaces up from the draft, I believe.
That, folks, is called helium.
Indeed, it is. And also, Jason, that's the first pound of flesh I'm taking from you this week because that was one of my picks this week. Believe it or not. Ken, who have you got?
Man, okay, so I went a little deeper than that. So the first one I got is for Baltimore is Ortiz. He was the 4th round draft pick back in 19. I'm kind of scanning again.
Somebody didn't prepare their notes.
Notes. I took pictures, man. Basically, he's more of a defensive minded player, but he's able to play any of the outfield positions. He's translated the power strides to show that he can hit. So he's just somebody that, when it comes to the hitters, he's short in stature for only 5'11", 175. So he's not like a beefy guy where he's more of a speedster. But his defense is gonna get him up there.
Defense will get him to the show quicker than his bat will. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, seeing as Jason took my first choice with Kobe Mayo this week for the Orioles, I knew for a fact that somebody was going to take him, and I actually put money on it being Gaskins. But I did have a backup prepared because obviously I know that you lot are starting to get to grips with all this. So my pick this week for the Orioles is going to be Helston Kerstad. He's the outfielder. He's the second overall pick in the first round of the 2020 draft. He lost most of last season due to myocarditis and was considered the best left-handed hitter in that particular draft at the time. He's got a hit total of 45, power of 60, and when he was swinging before he got the diagnosis, a kid was mashing, and I do mean mashing. And he's on a couple of my fantasy teams, so yes, I'm being a little bit of a homer myself here, but I mean, he is a kid that, I mean, if he can get a clear diagnosis and get a couple of seasons of, clear productive baseball opportunities, this kid's going to see the show really, really quickly, and he's going to do really well. So that's my pick for the Orioles. We'll move on to the Red Sox, and I'm going to go first this time because, quite frankly, there is some slim pickings of people that I like in the Red Sox organization, and I'm not going to take the pick that the Tigers should have had in Mayo. I'm going to take Blaze Jordan, third baseman, 19 years old, he's 6'2", 225 pounds, he's got a 45 hit tool and 60 power. He was taken in the 2020 draft, third round, 89th overall, and his tool set is really, really good at the plate. He's got a nice fluid swing. His arm strength is what concerns the Red Sox a little bit, and there is a small chance that he transitions either into left field or into first base. They project him at third early on, but there is a possibility he switches to first rather than at the outfield. He's a name to keep an eye on. At 19 years old, he's still got a bit of filling out to do, but I mean, he could see the show really, really, again, if he gets on a nice little hot streak, again, is another guy that I would like to see, do well and get to the majors sooner rather than later. You know what they say about letting the kids play? He's one to keep an eye on. Ken, who have you got for the Red Sox, bud?
I picked two, but I'll go with Chris Murphy. He's rated as a 50 overall. He's 23. He has fastball 55, curve 50, slider 55, change 55, control 55. Basically, he's a power lefty. He's the best lefty in the system. Obviously, not in the show already named Sale. They like him enough to say that he probably beat Groom, who's in the top 10 of their prospect list, that he'll beat him to the show. Now they do slate him to be a back end, but nonetheless, I mean, if you're going to beat Groom, who's a top 10, because this guy is probably, I'm trying to remember, 12 or 15 on their list. If you're going to beat Groom, who's in the top 10, you're doing something.
No worries. Jason, who have you got from the Red Sox, bud?
Okay, so mine is kind of a deep dive, and after Fury may fall off my list completely. Noah Song. He was a fourth round pick. My thing is he had the 2-year military commitment. Part of the Navy, so he's been gone for the last 2 years. He's supposed to come back this year, or he's going to decide he's not coming back. So if he comes back, though, I mean, he was one of the 4 finalists for the Golden Spikes Award for college. He was 11-1 with a 1.44 ERA and a sub-1 WHIP. In the Olympics qualifying rounds, he pitched 5 times in relief and allowed 0 runs. So I want to see, if he comes back, does he have it? Does he not? And he's kind of my lotto ticket.
Not a bad lotto ticket. And I saw Gaskins was shaking his head, looking like he may have stolen his pick there, by the looks of things. So Gaskins, without further ado, mate, who have you got from the Red Sox?
Oh no! I'll just piggyback off of Jason because he's right. Noah Song's number 30, and the only reason he's that low is because of the Navy commitment. Because he's a 6'4" righty who easily repeats his delivery. He's got 3 above average pitches at 60, 55, 55 with average control. So there's nothing not to like. No history of injuries or anything. So if he can come back and even be a semblance, he can play.
Fair enough. So you're also going with Noah Song, yeah?
Yeah. Great pick. Awesome, Jason.
All right. We're going to switch it down to the Yankees then. Everybody's favorite team.
We can skip over that.
Well, weirdly enough, I was going to let you go first, but it seems you want to skip. Ken, who have you got from the Yankees, bud?
My pitcher cut some of it off, but it looks like it's Brendan Beck.
Okay.
All right, he's fastball 50, curve 50, slider 55, change of 55, control 55, but his overall is only a 45. So there's a little bit of concern there. He was drafted in 2021, in the second round, 55 overall. He was Pacific 12 Conference Pitcher of the Year. He ranked fourth in the division with 143 strikeouts. So I mean, he's a decent young pitcher. He's a good athlete. Basically, good delivery. They think back end starter. In the next couple years. Now, some scouts compare him to Shane Bieber. Shane's obviously a better than a number 4. So
no, absolutely, it's not a bad pick actually. It was one on my list as I was doing my deep dive. But I came across somebody who again, it's a little bit of a homer pick for me because I do have him in a couple of leagues. But Luis Medina, right-handed pitcher, 22 years old, 6'1", 175 pounds. He was an international free agent signing in July of 2015. His fastball's 75, his curves are 60. He's got a 55 change. This is a kid that was throwing triple digits at 16 years old, and he's only gotten better in the Yankees organization. We're hopefully going to see him at some point this year to help with that struggling rotation in the Bronx. Mostly because Severino's coming back from Tommy John, and obviously Garrett Cole isn't the Garrett Cole of old, after Sticky Tack Gate. But Luis Medina is a right-hander that you should really keep an eye on. If he doesn't do well in regards to a starting pitcher's role, because he projects at about a number 3, number 2 starter, I could easily see this kid transition into a bullpen role and even maybe overshadow, who's the closer for the Yankees? Gaskins? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Chapman, thank you. Chapman. Yeah, I could easily see him becoming a very cheap option to replace Chapman should Chapman go down with one of his niggling little injuries, or hell, even use him as trade bait and go after some prospects. But the kid's got a cannon of an arm. I mean, high upper 90s as standard, will hit triple digits quite easily. I mean, there's nothing not to like about this kid. Jason, who have you got?
He's a Yankee.
Well, other than the fact that he's a Yankee.
I went with Ken Walden, pitcher, fifth round pick, 2019, now St. Mary's. Mainly because he went 30.2 innings in Hudson Valley and allowed 0 runs in those first 30.2. So he got promoted to pretty well. But my problem I have is I read reports that people think he might be a middle inning relief pitcher. I'm just wondering, are those guys worth keeping fantasy football wise? Fantasy baseball wise.
They would be worth keeping in fantasy football, dude. Wrong sport.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I mean, Gaskins is the one to ask for that one. I mean, if he's that old and he hasn't quite reached the majors yet, and he's projected as a middle relief, kind of like.
Cut him loose. Generally, the 2-pitch pitchers are going to be your relief pitchers. Sometimes they can make it on 2 pitches, like Dylan Cease. He can make it on 2 pitches. Or if you see a 45 control, that means they got the gas. They just don't know where it's going. You'll see a lot of those that will end up as relievers. They hold it together for a couple of batters. That's about it. Cutting loose.
Fair enough. Who have you got for the Yankees, John?
I'm going to dig a little bit deep a little bit and go their number 12 prospect, Alex Vargas. He's a shortstop, so inevitably in that system he's going to be trade bait. But he's 20 years old. He's got a 55 hit tool, 65 speed, 55 on, and a 60 field. So chances are he's going to stick at shortstop. And with a 55 hit tool and a 60 arm, he'll play somewhere. But more than likely in that system, he ends up trade bait.
Yeah. I mean, he's got quite a bit of talent.
Too many shortstops.
Yeah, there's not enough shortstop positions to feed all those players, is there really? But there you go. Right.
Their number one's Bolt.
Well, there you go, and he should be here this year by the sounds of things. So, right. So we're going to move on to the Tampa Bay Rays now. I'm going to go first because, quite honestly, the only person on the Tampa Bay Rays farm system that I even want to talk about, quite honestly, is Shane Bays. I know Gaskins is going to troll me for this one, but Bays is 22 years old. He's 6'2". He's 190 pounds. He's a right-handed pitcher. Taken in the 2017 draft, first round, the 12th overall, but by Pittsburgh. Traded to Tampa as part of the Chris Archer trade back in 2018. Kid's got a fastball of 70, a slider at 65, and a change at 50 with a below average curve at 40. Now, I know for a fact that myself and Gaskins have both looked at this kid for a couple of years for various fantasy purposes in various leagues, and we're both relatively, high on him, I would say. And for me, he's definitely, I think he's the top prospect coming out of the Tampa Bay system, and as it stands at the moment, due to various rankings and whatnot. But he's also had some injury issues, and which are a little concerning. But we expect to see him this year, and hopefully he can be a back end starter, maybe even a back end relief pitcher if the need arises. I know that the god awful opener stroke relief pitcher those relief pitch days that they sometimes have down in Tampa, kind of when they can't find a starter, tend to happen. So he's one name to watch out for down in Tampa for me. Jason, you can go next, bud.
I went with Curtis Mead. 21-year-old Australian, and 321 and 15 home runs. Again, I think they put him between third base and first base, but I think he'll be a nice power hitting, safe batter.
All right, cool. John, who have you got for the Tampa Bay Rays, my boy?
I'm gonna dig a little bit deep, but real quick on Baz. The MLB, these are last year's rankings and scores. They haven't repopulated in 2022 yet. They've got Baz in 50 control. Yeah, not anymore. He's turned to level. He's probably 55 or 60 on control now.
Yeah.
In fact, I would even say he's got command at this point.
But
I'm going to dig a little.
For a kid that's got a fastball rated at 70, if he's found that extra level of control, that's a dangerous pitcher to be facing.
Well, not only that, but as he brought his changeup up a little bit. It was a 50 pitch, I believe. He's 55 now, so he's got 3 legitimate above average pitches, above average control.
Yeah,
he's not a backhand, or he could be an ace.
And the funniest thing about Baz as well is the fact that the fastball, if you've seen him throw his slider is scary good. And that was rated at 65 when the scouts saw him originally. I mean, I tried to think what it would look like today if he's has got that level of command on him. So, but yeah, Baz.
I'm going to give you a nugget this time. Ooh. I'm going to give you their number 12 or 13 prospect, JJ Goss. He's a 6'3" righty, drafted back in 2019, but he's got 3 above average pitches with above average control, and he's 6'3" and repeats it well. He's going to be in the show real quick.
Fair enough. Ken, who have you got for the Tampa Bay dude?
Blake Hunt. Hunt. He was originally drafted. He was originally drafted by San Diego in the 5th round. He's a catcher. His hit tool is low. It's 45. But he has raw power. Looking at a 50 power. His arm is sitting at 60. Fielding 55. So he's a defensive catcher with some raw pop. He's made it up into the Double-A for Tampa. So he's getting up there a little bit better. He's 6'4", so he's able to match. That's basically he has new power. He has to prove himself yet, But everybody's looked at him at his defensive skills. That's where he was drafted in San Diego. Tampa liked him as well. They signed him, I believe, as a free agent, if I'm not mistaken. Actually in 2018 he led the Northwest League in innings caught, batting 271 and a 371 on base percentage. So he knows how to get on base as well.
That's a nice little nugget as well at the end of that one. All right, and finally we'll end with Toronto. And you guys say I don't give pitchers any love. I've already given you 2, and I'm about to give you a 3rd one. The last time we did this kind of crazy with Gaskins, apparently I didn't like pitchers. I only liked hitters. I've given you 3 pitchers this week. I want it noted on record. But Toronto have got a guy called Sem Robers He's a right-handed pitcher out of the Netherlands, another international free agent signing from 2019. 6'1", 160 pounds. He had 5 appearances in the Gulf Coast League, and you can Gaskins listen to these numbers: 0.87 ERA over 10 1/3 innings, 9 strikeouts, 0 walks, fastball, slider, curve, all rating at 55. Control is at 50, and this kid is, I mean, seriously, I think he's only about 20 years old. I think it was I saw, and just I've seen this kid pitch, and if this kid's going to fill out, and he's going to be very, 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 very good at the back end of that rotation. He really is, and he's with him being, I mean, these are all self-taught skills as well. He's up until he got into North America, has never ever had any kind of professional kind of pitching, coaching whatsoever, all self-taught skills, and these are the grades he's got. You imagine a couple of years in a system like Toronto where they've got really good coaches. This kid could be quite the little nugget. Who have you got? Gaskins.
For me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a dive back to number 24 prospect. He used to be up in the top 10 a while back. Eric Pardinho. If you're familiar with him, he's 21 years old. Okay, they signed him back in 2017. 16 years old.
Yeah.
Out of the international pool. The kid's only 5'10", but he's got a 55 fastball, 60 curveball. He's got a slider and change, but his control is 55. He's just had injuries. You know, being a young kid, he's just been battling injuries, but he's still only 21. Still in I think high A. But probably a good bullpen arm. At 5'10", I don't think he's going to hold up his starter's role.
Okay.
But real quick on the scores, the 20-80 scale, 50 is average. So of course 45 is going to be below average. 40 anything, just stay away from it. Control, batting, anything, just stay away from it. But just remember, 50 is average, and like for power, all average means is about 15 home runs. And your batting average being a 50 means about a 270, 275 batting average.
Fair enough. All right, Jay, so who have you got for Toronto Blue Jays, bud? Who's your pick this week?
All right. I did not dig very deep on this because I had no Toronto Blue Jays. I went with Aurelvis Martinez, 20 years old. He'll be way high up, I think, on their
believe he was
list.
the number 2 prospect in their system as I looked earlier on this afternoon.
Yeah, that's a star.
Yeah, I was like, he had the most home runs in the minor league by a teenager at 28. Okay. So to me, I was like, okay, that's someone I need to learn and watch a lot more about.
He's ranked top 10 overall, I believe, on RotoWire and on Fangraphs at the moment in their top 400s. He's a name to watch for pretty much anybody that's watching baseball at the moment. So, and I mean, and Toronto have got some really, really good players in their major league core already that are young guys as well. You add a bat like that, it's not, it's just making that system even hard, that team to even harder to play against. Ken?
All right, so I went real deep. Grabbed a guy, Taylor, that was originally drafted in 2016. Now, currently, he's 23. So, he was drafted pretty young as well. But he was drafted by Cleveland in the 10th round of the 2016 draft. He was actually traded at the 2017 deadline for Joe Smith to the Blue Jays. That's how he got here. His offensive numbers have dipped a little bit. Right now, they have him rated at a 50 hit, 45 power, 60 run, 50 arm, 50 field. So I mean, again, they sustainable. It basically says that he'll have some long-term potential. He has the average hit tool and above average speed, which remains his greatest tool. He said he's gotten defensively shown some flashes of brilliance at second and third. He plays in the outfield as well, so he's going to be basically a Swiss Army knife out there.
All right. Well, that's our AL East. Our favourite prospects, one for each team. I've enjoyed that this week, boys. I believe next week we'll be doing the AL Central. Fun times. We'll go east to west on both leagues, one at a time. So next week AL Central. So that's the Tigers, the Cleveland Guardians, Kansas City Royals, the White Sox, and somebody give me the last one.
The Tigers.
I already said the Tigers.
Twins.
The Twins, thank you.
Twins.
Why do I always forget Minnesota? You know why? Because nobody cares. Nobody cares about Twins fans. All right, as always, we end our show with Muppet of the Week. Now, we were going to throw in one extra person, but we all kind of decided it was a unanimous award this week. It's going to go to Juwan Howard. The slap not really heard across the court is going to win Muppet of the Week. You can't do stupid stuff like that and expect not to get the award. I mean, it's LeBron-esque kind of drama that just doesn't need to happen on a basketball court, quite frankly. I know Gaskins had one possible nominee that might edge him out, but we all decided, nah, it ain't going to happen. So this week's Muppet of the Week is Coach Juwan Howard of the University of Michigan. Jace, seriously, you guys are getting slam blasted this week. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed us. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll all be back next week. For Ken, for Jason, and for everybody's favorite redneck, I'm Paul. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.